couch potatoes, and welcome back to the comfiest courtroom on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for some dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggiest blankets, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama. Look at that. See, guys, I do know how to say these words that I did not know how to say this morning. This is what happens when you get a llama who didn't just wake up. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. I hope ever the portals worked back over here from midday missing. I figured I would just go ahead and start a little early so we can talk about how this morning has went. It's been something. Hey, Kelly. Hey, girl. Yes, if you're coming in, hit that like button. Lets people know that we're live and it's a new stream. So we need to get into the algorithm. And if you have social media, go share this right now and be like, hey, this is where all the cool kids are going to be. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it has been a day. I don't remember who our first witness was now I think about it. Oh, it was Proctor's bestie. Jonathan, I can't say his last name. I forget what his last name was. It's a not a normal name. Who read? Well, he didn't end up reading. Brennan ended up reading some of the text conversations that disgraced former Trooper Proctor had with his childhood besties, where he dropped the C word a lot. I don't even think they mentioned when he called her the R word. I'm pretty sure that wasn't put in there. Or the one where he said he wished she would kill herself. I don't think he said that. Anyway, I will say I was a little disappointed. I know that they were trying to show the jury that, Proctor is biased clearly, but I don't think it hit as hard as they wanted to, because like the defense didn't have the guy read any of the texts. Instead, the prosecution had him read them, which was very strange because I've never seen that before. Because it's the defense witness, they brought him in to authenticate these text messages, but then didn't have him read them. Instead, Brennan read them because the guy was like, I don't really want to say these words out loud because they weren't good words. And Brennan's like, I'll do it. And then he didn't even say the C word either. I don't know. I felt really kind of let down of what the defense could have done more of with him as a witness. Maybe they'll call Proctor. Rumor is they're not planning on calling Proctor now, but you never know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe they thought that his friend, it was going to go better than it did. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of, I don't know. It didn't hit the same. Like when Buchanan read those text messages, it still hit you, right? This didn't work that way for me. Then next up, oh my gosh, then we had former Canton police officer. Yeah, sorry guys, my hair is just, it's a day. We don't even care. It's Monday, who cares? She's a former Canton police officer, okay? We had no idea that she was going to be as spicy as she ended up being. Okay, so she was former Canton PD during the John O'Keefe incident. She was supposed to go out on patrol, but then was asked by Good. I don't remember his title. I want to say sergeant, but I don't really remember. Another officer. She was called to come in to do dispatch instead of go out. And then he went out to replace her. Well, according to the defense, the reason they called her is because she told the FBI, okay, that, and this would have been like a year and a half after John died. She told the FBI, I'm pretty sure, please chat, correct me if I'm wrong, that she saw Buchanan, no, what's the officer? What's the guy in charge? Not Buchanan. It starts with a B. Berkowitz and Higgins in the Sally port for a long, weird amount of time, is what she told the FBI, right? So that's why the defense called her. Like, because what were they doing in the Sally port? Remember, the chief Berkowitz is the one who drove past 34 Fairview on his way to work in the morning, and he's driving, didn't even stop driving, and he saw red taillight pieces in Albert's yard, which seems like a long fetch of a story, right? So they're like, okay, call her to the stand. She then says, oh, that was a false memory. I know that now. It's a false memory. Like, okay. And she's saying it's a false memory because she clocked out. Her shift ended at 3:45, and that's when she clocked out. And the Lexus didn't come in till about 5:30. Okay, sure. But that doesn't mean she left the police station right away. Okay, because they are in the height or end of this blizzard that just happened. Okay, so between like the hours of like 1 and 4 or 5, I think they ended up getting like 20 inches of snow, which is a buttload of snow. So I don't know if she really left, right? So anyway, she then drops numerous times that it was actually the FBI that she talked to, right? Because they've been calling them a law enforcement agency this whole time. They have not said the words FBI. I don't believe they're even supposed to say the word FBI, but it came out this morning numerous times. It was the FBI. So then she tells the defense, hey, I'm not going to testify like that because it's not true. It was a false memory. I wasn't lying before. I just remembered wrong. And the defense is like, but did you though? Because you got called by, I should have court up before I go ranting over here. She got called in to the police commissioner's office. Okay. The Boston police commissioner, I'm pretty sure it was him. And apparently he called her in because he knew she was testifying and was just like, hey, you're going to do a great job. Just do the right thing. Okay. She's a rookie. Why is she in the police chief's office? Who she said it was just him and her alone, nobody else. And he just was given a pep talk, even though that makes zero sense. Makes zero sense for that to happen if it's just wish you good luck, right? And then she also accuses the defense of threatening her with perjury charges when she's just telling the truth. She's just telling the truth, you guys. Oh boy, was Alan Jackson pissed about that? Yes, he was, because that is not what happened. Also, defense attorneys cannot file charges. Who does that? The prosecution or Commonwealth in whatever state you're in. And she was like, yeah, but you can like file for them. You can file a report. And it was bonkers. Okay. And then she said she didn't know what the word sequestration means, even though she's testified she said at least a dozen times. She didn't know what that word mean. Like, oh my God, you guys, it was such a disaster. She did not come across good whatsoever. It was not good. It was not good. It was so wild. Hi, Sam. Hi, Angie. And now we have on Dr. Russell. Marie Russell is her name, who has experience. She was a cop. She was an ME. She's there. Right before we went to lunch, she was very qualified. But she was saying that the damage to John's arm looks like being attacked by a dog. Very credible and witness she is. Quite the CV. I'm curious to see how Brennan does with her because it's Alessi that's directing her and they're both very well mannered. So I'm curious how Brennan's going to approach this. A wildly long time. Yes. Elbow feet. Actually, a metric buttload. I believe it was a fuck ton. Apparel measurements. Yes. Yeah, the commissioner is saying do the right thing. No, all right, you guys. She's still an officer, right? Like, and you can't tell me she didn't have a talking to. You can't tell me she did not have a talking to about seeing the police chief, okay, of Canton, and somebody from ATF, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, who that's a federal position. She saw the police chief and the Fed in the Sally Port with Garen's car, is what she said to the FBI. And now all of a sudden, oh no, I was wrong. It was a false memory, which again, you're an officer. This is going to look so bad for her in the future when she has, if this woman is ever the police officer in your trial, make sure your lawyer knows that she has false memories, even with the FB freaking eye. So she did herself no favors today. Oh, ridiculous. Right, Kathy. So false for her. And Carrie, I didn't understand what was said to me. And Jen lies to the FBI who she was. I mean, yeah, she was so dodgy, this Kelly Devers. Like, she had such an attitude about it, too. Like, if you missed it, go back and watch it after court today. Like, it is something else. Came out of left field today. It was wild. Right. Oh, that's right. She kept saying stuff about the first trial, which if you have said that in the case so far, they're not supposed to say that. It's supposed to be the, what do they call proceeding? The other proceeding is usually what they have to refer it to, but she was just throwing first trial left and right, FBI, just throwing that everywhere. Oh, yeah. And guess what? Oh, she's friends with Sarah Levison, who was in Albert's house that night for Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday party. Yeah, that's right. They're friends. And she said on the stand that her job depends on her testimony, which is a wild thing to say. Wild thing to say as a police officer. Like, I mean, sure, to some degree, your credibility is on the line, which you just shot yourself in the foot with your false memory BS, because I don't believe that for 1 second. I think she definitely had some talking to before this and a step in line. Okay, she's young, she's a woman, and a rookie. Okay, I mean, you're telling me she wasn't talked to about this with these people? What we know about them? Their good old boys club. Mm. And then she transferred to Boston PD, which apparently we learned today from chat and Google is that it is very hard to get on as a Boston police officer. It's apparently very rigorous and there's usually a wait list for it. And she just was able to, I mean, we don't know exactly what she had to go through to get that job, but it's very interesting. It probably came with a very good recommendation from my guess is Chief Berkowitz, if I had to take a guess. But yep, it was right after because she's been working for Boston for what'd she say, 2.5 years. So literally, what, a couple months, 6 months maybe? And everybody in this case involved with law enforcement has either changed positions, like gotten promoted, or they've moved to, other jurisdictions, or well, one got fired, or they've retired. It's just very interesting how much has happened to all the people involved in a very short period of time. Very much so. Oh, it's train time. Also, I didn't realize I hadn't checked one of my settings for my mic, so I hope you don't get as much background as you probably did earlier. So I forgot. Yep, if you just got here, make sure you hit the like button to appease the YouTube gods because it is a new stream, so people need to know that we're live again. Oh, yeah. And Kelly, you missed when Jackson was fired up, girl. You'll have to go back and watch Kelly Devers. Kelly with a Y, not Kelly with an IE, like the good kind. I'm just kidding. I probably just offended a Kelly with a Y. It was just a joke. All right, it's just a joke. Oh my goodness. So they're about ready. Alessi is talking to Dr. Russell. She's getting ready to say, kind of already started about dog bites. So we'll see how it goes. Apparently, she works out in California, and she was reading the Boston Globe because that's where she's from and works at. And she saw a thing about the Karen Reed case, and apparently, she reached out to the Los Angeles DA. And that's all we know about that, because then there were some objections. And then Alessi came back and continued, or I'm sorry, did not continue that line of questioning and moved on. So I don't really know the whole story. I'm sure some of you do. Maybe it was said in the first trial. I don't know. Oh, Kelly, you went and rewatched and he was on fire. Yeah. What she was saying was not cool. She made herself look so bad. I mean, even if she was telling the truth, why are you being so dodgy and weird about it? You know, and how many times did she say, I'm telling the truth. It's the truth. I'm the truth. I'm saying the truth. Like 100 times, which is suspicious. But on behalf of all Kellys with Y. That's fine. You guys can send me. I know. So you guys, while we're waiting, I went grocery shopping yesterday, me and Elbow Feet, which was 3 hours. It was a long day, but I got a whole bunch of snacks. I now have a giant basket next to me. Hold on. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's a giant basket of snacks. It's outrageous. But I got gummy bears, I got pretzels, chips, and popcorn. What else did I got? Oh, I got rice cakes, chocolate rice cakes, because I do love those. And one of my other favorite things, sorry, this is probably loud on the mic, and I do apologize. Goldfish vanilla cupcakes. Oh my God, they're better than Teddy Grahams. They're one of my favorites. They don't put them in a big enough bag. And then earlier I had opened these, which you might have been like, what is Llama eating? Why her face keeps doing that? And I was, because my brain's green. But anyway, they're sour Skittles freeze-dried candies, which are weird. They're weird. They're very sour. I don't think Bell's is up yet, but Bell's is a big fan of those. So I finally got around to buying those. Because Elbow-Feet a couple of months ago had found some at a gas station, not the Skittles one, but they are very sour. Probably should have went with the. You're done with your work. Should you head home? Oh wow, okay. Why are you asking me if you? I don't know. Sure, babe. Yes, those who protest too much. Yes, people who tell the truth don't feel the need to keep telling you that they're telling the truth. Exactly. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, I have a lot of snacks. I do have a bunch of healthy snacks too, like fruits and stuff like that, but that's in the fridge. Fruits and yogurts, and it's not all junk food, but that is going to keep me good for a little while. This is Mommy's snack bag or snack box that no one's allowed to grab anything out of. Only for me, because my boys will eat anything. Oh, look at that, Elbow-Feet. Kelly P says, you should bring Ms. Llama some flowers for all of her hard work. Oh, Kelly, thanks, girl. He's like, damn it, Kelly. Sam says, in my experience, when someone has to say, I'm telling the truth over and over, they usually are wearing their liar pants. Yeah, she did not look good. Okay, it was bad. It was bad. Yeah, no. Have you tried it? I love Teddy Grahams as well, but the vanilla cupcake goldfish, everything. So, I mean, Teddy Grahams are the bomb as well. I'm like obsessed. Welcome back, Shunka. Welcome back. Oh, I know. Those damn goats. They're so cute. They're so cute. I almost got a cantaloupe yesterday, but they were very small. Like smaller than a normal cantaloupe, I feel. Oh, what do we got going on over here? Nothing. But I should probably get that in my window. Uno momento, chat. Okay. Here we go. For when it's ready. Hope you can talk later. You are underneath the cost. You are. What are they talking about? Oh, it's not actually picking up the mic. How is it not picking up the mic, but yet there's closed caption? I don't understand. She'd rather have wine, though, LOB. That's true. I am out of wine. Well, I do have one bottle of wine, but it's for Thursday's show. Oh, no, wait. I do have that red wine. I don't know. I went down the wine aisle yesterday, too, and took pictures of a whole bunch of different kinds of wine that I could start using for True Crime and Wine Time. And now that I'm going to be the co-host for that, and because I like to get fun wines, and that way I can just tell Elbow Feet, hey, send them a picture, and just be like, that's one. But I got one that it's not going to be related to the case at all. It was just adorable. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, babe. Yes, that's true. And that's true. Mommy does have her own snack. Nobody's allowed to touch them. I get them theirs. All right. I just keep a portion of them to myself, and they're no touching. They get lots of snacks. So exactly. It is a lot easier to remember the truth than to remember the lies. I mean, okay. So she says this is a false memory of seeing the chief of police and an ATF agent in the Sally Port. How do you just make that up? I don't even see how you could confuse that. It doesn't make any sense. Elbow feet. For fuck's sake, people. I just picked her flowers. Oh, that's so sweet. No bag wine. Not right now. Oh, you guys are great. Oh, hey, 80s. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. We still just have the ceiling fan. We're 6 minutes late because Beth is never on time. Also, it seems like the jars are taking a lot of notes. Well, the note taker guy has 4 notebooks of stuff. I wonder if, do you guys know, do they pick the foreman ahead of time in this case, or do they do that at the end? Different jurisdictions. Some will pick the foreman right away. Some, the judge will decide who the foreman is. Some, the jurors will decide who the foreman is. And it's usually, sometimes it's not even figured out until afterwards, because some people know their alternates, some don't. It's just depends what jurisdiction you're in. So, and I finally got my Starbucks cinnamon dolce coffee. It's been a long time since it's so good. So good. Okay, so Bev, of course she does. Of course she does. See, I have a problem with that. I don't like that. I mean, it's just my opinion, but I don't like when a judge picks who the foreman is. I don't like it when jurors know if they're alternates or not. I think you should leave that to be random in the end. So I don't like when they do it that way. Bev chose before they pulled out alternates. How do they? Okay. But how? Okay. I do too, 80s. And if you like coffee, I don't remember if you drink coffee or not. I don't remember. But if you do, try the Starbucks cinnamon dolce coffee. It's delicious. Yeah. Oh, okay. She can pick or allow the jury to. Yeah, I think it should just be the jury. Uh-oh. Counsel, I heard you wanted to talk to me, a sidebar. I don't know if that's exactly what she's going to say, but I think so. Oh, your wine message? Okay. Just a minute, Kelly. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Did you know they have wine clubs where they will send you wine each month? What?
Right, Mr. Leslie, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon and welcome back, Dr. Russell.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor, if we could please publish Exhibit 1 in evidence.
Okay.
Mr. Wolk. Dr. Russell, do you recognize Exhibit 1 from your review of the documents in this case?
Yes.
And what is it that Exhibit 1 represents?
It's a picture of the forearm of the decedent.
And we left off at lunch, and I'm not going to cover too much old ground, just to reorient ourselves back to where we were. You were discussing the basis of your opinion and conclusion that you said that these wounds were caused by, why don't you restate? Well, let's continue on in the basis of your opinion. Let's just continue on. Can you go through what is in Exhibit 1 and describe how it is that you came to your opinion?
Well, I observed multiple patterns of striations or linear abrasions.
I'm sorry to interrupt you so soon. Do you have the pointer in case you want to use that available?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's multiple groupings of linear abrasions, and linear means like a line, linear. So there's multiple of those, and here's one. Here's another one closer to the elbow. Here's another one closer to the wrist, and here's another array of linear abrasions near the elbow.
In terms of these wounds, in assessing their source, do you look at them individually, collectively, or both?
Both. I look at them individually, and then I put them in context of how they relate to one another.
And how they relate to one another, is there a name of that methodology that you use in terms of how they relate to each other?
Well, I think it's a pattern methodology, pattern recognition.
And what pattern is it that you see here with regard to all of these wounds on the right arm?
Well, I see multiple linear groupings together in a area from the mid arm to the mid forearm.
Is there any analysis of direction that is involved in your analysis?
Yes.
What is it?
I believe that these wounds were initiated closer to the anterior surface or the front of the forearm.
I'm sorry, Dr. Russell, to interrupt you, but there's a fan back here, which I can hear, but if you could just keep your voice up, that would be great for me.
Yes, I believe they all started closer to the anterior or front portion of the arm. Like they started up here, up here, and the direction is towards the posterior portion of the arm.
Now, if we could just go back briefly I want you to do a comparison. If we could go back, Your Honor, please, back to Exhibit 157 that we had up earlier.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 167. As between 167 and 1, which one is closer in time to when Mr. O'Keefe was located?
The previous one.
All right, so let's go back to the previous one. So that one is closer in time to when Mr. O'Keefe was located on January 29 of 2022, correct?
Yes.
And so January 29, 2022, if we can go back to Exhibit 157, or 67, excuse me, 167, can you tell when this picture was taken from the depiction?
Well, it says January 31st.
Okay, so is that the basis for you saying that the Exhibit 1 was closer in time to when Mr. O'Keefe was located?
Yes.
All right, so I want to do another comparison, have you do another comparison of the two. If you can look at what is depicted in Exhibit 167, and now go back to 1 and see if you see any differences at all as to what's depicted. Do you see any differences with regard to the wounds on the arm, or the arm just in general? Let's go back to see that now. Let's go back to 167.
Well, the coloration of the photograph is slightly different.
And what do you mean the coloration?
Well, the skin tones here are more yellow than they are in the previous photograph.
And I'm sorry, do you have a conclusion as to why there is a difference in skin tone in this exhibit compared to Exhibit 1?
Well, it could just be technique, lighting technique. I do see some lividity on the chest, postmortem lividity, and that's what that means is pooling of the blood, which happens after death.
Can you explain to the jury what lividity is?
Yes. So blood follows the laws of gravity, and the blood will settle to the dependent parts of the body. In this case, the body, the body of Mr. O'Keefe is horizontal, and so the blood is going to settle from the top of the chest, which would probably be up here somewhere, down towards the back, which would be the inferior portion of the chest in that position. And likewise, it would happen on the extremities too.
So you just mentioned the extremities. Do you see any lividity on the extremity here, the right arm?
You know, actually, there is discoloration over here in the elbow area. I do see some lividity. Okay, so there's several areas of lividity on the arm. I'm sorry. There's some right here. This redness right here on the near the wrist. I believe that's postmortem lividity. I believe that this redness in here near the elbow is also postmortem lividity, and yeah, that's what I believe.
Okay.
That's postmortem lividity.
And again, lividity is that you said something that sets in after death?
Yes, it's the pooling of blood.
Is there, with regard to this depiction, do you see any bruising with regard to that elbow?
You know, I think that initially, earlier this morning, with the lighting, I may have said that this was bruising, but now as I think about it, and I see all this other lividity here, lividity over here, I believe that's postmortem lividity.
And if we could go back to Exhibit 1, and you said this is the one that's closer in time to when Mr. O'Keefe was located. do you see any lividity or bruising with regard to that photo?
I don't see any definite bruising. I do see some discoloration up here near the shoulder. I'm not sure if that's postmortem lividity or not. It could be early postmortem lividity.
Okay. So if we could, thank you, Mr. Woe, can we take that depiction down for the moment? What I'd like to do is and we'll come back to that. If we could have the lights back on, please. Thank you. Have you had experience prior to this case in performing your pattern recognition methodology skills with regard to dog-inflicted wounds on humans? In other words, have you seen dog-inflicted wounds that have a pattern on humans?
I've seen dog wounds that have had a pattern. I didn't need to do it to utilize that skill because I also had other information about the case. You know, for instance, police officer or the victim himself said, you know, I was attacked by a dog.
Right. And for those that can you give an example, like in the ER, just as to how you would come to have that knowledge or otherwise? How would you generally come to have the knowledge as to a potential source of the wound?
Oftentimes it's the victim that tells me, or in the case of the law enforcement dog bites, I had both victim and police officers tell me that the police dog, inflicted these wounds.
And so and how many times generally in your career, we discussed it this morning, how many times generally did someone present with dog-inflicted wounds and you were told that these wounds were from a dog? Roughly how many in your career?
Well, all of the law enforcement dog bites. So that would be 40 to 60 or so of those. Plus, most of the non-law enforcement dog bites, the patients or the mother have said this, a dog bit me or a dog bit my son.
And for those where someone said something, the dog bit my son, were the wounds that you saw similar to or different from the wounds that are depicted in Exhibit 1 that we've had up on the screen?
On the civilian dog bites, there's some similarities, but not as many striations on the civilian dog bites.
And are the more striations on what's depicted in Exhibit 1, does that lead you to more easily conclude it's from a dog bite, or is it harder for you to conclude it's from a dog bite?
Neither.
Right. So is your prior experience as an emergency room physician, as a physician in Courtroom, does that experience allow you to exercise pattern recognition skills with regard to Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 157?
Sustained.
Do you use your pattern recognition? Did you use your pattern recognition skills in evaluating Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 157?
Yes.
In terms of characteristics of dog bites, if we can go back to Exhibit 1, please. Is Exhibit 1 highly characteristic of a dog bite or lowly characteristic of a dog bite?
Yes. Sustained.
How would you describe the characteristics of what appears on Exhibit 1?
What I see on Exhibit 1 is multiple strikes from a dog.
I'm going to allow it.
Can you please repeat your answer?
Yes.
What you see?
Multiple strikes from a dog.
And with regard to, do you see any characteristics in terms of a medical observation with regard to those strikes?
I don't understand the question.
Okay. Are you familiar with the term, medical term, pathognomonic?
Oh, yes.
What is the definition of pathognomonic?
Pathognomonic in medicine means that the characteristics of a condition are so highly specific and unique that they basically say that it can only be from a certain condition and no other condition. So to the exclusion of all other conditions. That's what is meant by pathognomonic. At least that's my understanding.
Do you consider these wounds pathognomonic?
Yes. Sustain.
How do you evaluate these wounds in terms of what you call their characteristics?
I characterize them as highly specific for a dog attack.
His whispered objection.
The last word, Mr. Wilson.
In terms of the characteristics that you have talked about, are there any other aspects of dog dentition that you can discern from Exhibit 1?
I don't understand the question.
You mentioned earlier when we had the dog dentition exhibit up, you mentioned an arch. Is there any aspect of Exhibit 1 that concerns an arch?
Yes, there is, in my opinion, an arch-like structure right here towards the lower part of the forearm, towards the wrist, suggesting that this here is made from the very front teeth of the dog. Now, when one looks at these injuries or wounds, one has to remember that, number one, this is not a mannequin. This is a person whose skin is somewhat elastic, whose skin will slide over the underlying bones, and so therefore some of the wounds may have been created by the exact same teeth, for instance, but look differently, depending on the part of the anatomy, the elasticity of the skin, also depending on things like if there was clothing or something in between the teeth and the skin. So one has to consider the end. Also, there may be motion artifact, motion effects. The living victim could have been pulling away from the dog. The dog could have been, pulling or jumping and only catching a glimpse, a little slight bit of the skin with his teeth. So there's a lot of movement and things that one has to consider when an injury is inflicted on a body.
Objection, move to strike.
I'm going to strike that.
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
Oh, sidebar already, hey? Okay. Now Brennan has things to say. You're on here. This is terrible. This is terrible for my case. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. No, I think she's brought up some really good points since she's been back up on the stand of why they could be different. I'll say this, it makes a lot more sense to me than it being pieces of a tail light. Would explain why there weren't fragments of the tail light in his skin or, directly attached to his clothing. Makes a lot of sense, actually. Could Bigfoot have done this? Maybe. Maybe so. Who knows? Whatever happened to that ferret? I don't know. But it says, what does a dog bite have to do with a car wreck? I mean, that's probably what he's going to try to go for here, I guess, but I don't know. Because again, the ME Scarabello, she was like, she didn't really say much of where it came from. And her cause of death was inconclusive. Or manner of death. I'm sorry. The cause she narrowed down to blunt force trauma to the head and or hypothermia, but it was the manner of death, meaning like the homicide, suicide, accident. Man, what's the other one? Natural, I think. I don't remember them all. Sam says, I don't think he likes her saying bite mark. And if the dog bites, yeah. I also think it's great that he's having her say that, because Chloe apparently was trying to be a police dog, but apparently failed at qualifying as a police dog. So, two birds, one stone here. Dave says, the first time I saw that initial picture and heard German Shepherd, I knew it was from an animal. Yeah, I mean, German Shepherds are known. They're fantastic dogs, wonderful dogs. I had a German Shepherd once. They're great. But they can be bitey, and ours anyway was like overly loyal. And this is one that we do know did try to receive some canine training with the police. So I don't know why she failed at it, but apparently she did. I've learned a lot about dog bites today that I had no idea. So it's been interesting, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I'm right about, but sure. Oh, you guys, if you haven't, please hit the like button because this is our afternoon stream. So we need to get back into the algorithm. If you're completely new, subscribe to this channel. We do more than just trials. We do Midday Missing, which covers missing people. We do the True Crime and Wine Time podcast on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we do deep dives into past cases. I do Couch Court After Dark, covering the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Ooh, boy, you guys, seriously, go watch the Sean Diddy Combs. It is wild. It is wild. And what else do we do? Oh, Thursday, we're doing Couch Confessions. That's what I like to call my interviews with people. And the lovely chatter, Raindrops and Feathers, is going to come on to tell us about her experience. Her job was to kind of like catch shoplifters, and she had to testify in court a few times about it. So we're just going to chit chat about that Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you didn't catch this morning, court for Karen Reed is very wonky this week. So full day today, no court tomorrow, but we are still going to be here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and we are going to watch the two ARCA guys and Tully's testimony from trial 1. So we're going to be around to maybe 1 tomorrow or something. And then Wednesday, they have court all day. Thursday is a half day. Because, Bev loves wasting people's freaking time, even though she says she doesn't. And then Friday, there is no court again on Friday. Whether or not we're doing something on Friday is undecided, but I will let you know as soon as I decide. I might take the day off. I don't know. We'll see. Lady Gray. I wish Diddy would get finished with his turkey obsession. He's so weird. It's so weird. I don't understand. But yeah, so subscribe, the notification bell, so you never miss when we go live or drop an episode of one of our many other shows. Perfect. Time that up well. Good job, Llama. Yeah, all those days off in the middle of defense's case. I don't know why they have them off.
Thank you.
I have no idea.
If we could put the Exhibit 1 back up on the screen, please, Mr. Wolt.
Maybe we should clarify it's for the jury at the end of the day.
Dr. Russell, is what's depicted on the screen one dog bite or more than one dog bite?
Objection.
Ask it differently, Mr. Wilson.
Dr. Russell, can you determine from this depiction, how do you evaluate this depiction with regard to dog bites?
Well, I see several groupings of wounds. Here's one grouping up near the shoulder. Here's another
That's what I heard on
distinct
Friday.
grouping near the elbow, but above the elbow. Here is a third grouping around the back of the elbow and the upper forearm. Here's some additional marks. I think they're separate, but I don't know exactly if they are separate dog bites or scratches. And then there's another grouping around the posterior forearm near the wrist. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's at least 4 different types of either bites or combination bite and claw marks.
You mentioned claw marks. Is there any evidence of claw marks in this exhibit?
It's hard to say exactly what these marks are. This one here, and even to a certain extent, this one here has some characteristics of both claw marks and bites. So
Even though you may not be able to determine whether it's a claw mark, can you determine, or the specific type of mark, can you determine that those are from a dog?
I believe they are, yes.
So now let's go. You mentioned, we'll switch. We can leave that up for just a moment because we're going to come right back to it. And Dr. Russell, earlier on, you used the phrase incomplete dental impression. Do you recall that?
Something like that, yes.
What phrase would you like to use? Because you were describing whether a dog or not had a complete bite. What phrase would you like to use?
But that's okay. Incomplete bite, I
Okay.
might
Do you
consider.
see any evidence of an incomplete bite on Exhibit 1?
I believe
That's what I heard
all of
anyway.
the bites here are incomplete.
Why do you come to that conclusion?
Because in my opinion, they don't penetrate the skin, which I would consider more of a bite or more of a complete bite. So they're just scratches on the surface of the skin.
When you say they don't penetrate the skin, we see the marks that are on there. What do you mean that they don't penetrate the skin?
They don't penetrate the full thickness of the skin and extend into the soft tissue underneath.
And what, in terms of incompleteness that you just described, have you observed incomplete dog bites in your career?
Many.
Roughly how many incomplete dog bites have you observed and treated in your career?
Over 100.
In our incomplete bites, the majority of bites from civilian dogs, or are they a minority of the bites from civilian dogs?
I believe they're the majority of the bites of civilian dogs.
Did you determine whether these wounds occurred at the same time?
I believe they did.
Why do you come to the conclusion that they occurred at the same time?
Because of the wound characteristics, the coloration of the wounds, the tissue reaction to the wounds. So they all timing are at the same time, around the same time.
Did you determine whether these wounds were sustained by Mr. O'Keefe before or after he died?
Before he died.
How do you reach the conclusion that these wounds were suffered by Mr. O'Keefe before he died?
Because they have what we call a vital reaction. So there is an ever so slight vital reaction or inflammation around the edges of the wounds. And so that determines that, that supports the fact that they were inflicted during life.
Dr. Russell, did you observe Mr. O'Keefe's right arm personally?
No.
Is it generally accepted in the practice of medicine, particularly emergency or pathology, to observe and determine the source of a wound from a photograph after death?
It is generally accepted.
And have you, in your career, used photographs to determine wounds and patterns of wounds?
Yes.
And is that an accepted practice?
Yes.
And it is a generally accepted practice?
Yes.
Now, in conducting we're going to switch a little bit now to what you call the differential diagnosis. In conducting your differential diagnosis with regard to motor vehicle accidents, describe for the jury how you performed that differential diagnosis with regard to the decedent. And we can leave that up for just a moment. Go ahead, Dr. Russell.
Objection.
So I'm going to need to see you. Sorry, folks.
Why? Why are you going to need to see them, Bev? Annoying. That's what it is. Oh, weird. They're not going up. Okay. It's interesting. Dave says he thinks John was hit, fell and cracked his head, and attacked by the dog in the basement all at the same time. I mean, that would have to be the theory, right? If you believe these are dog bites, then you're going to have to believe that John was in the house. And I could see that situation happening very quickly. Very, very quickly. So, probably because she doesn't understand the objection. Sure. That's a very loud plane. Do you guys hear that? It's like a military jet, actually. Probably. Is Bev going to interrupt Brennan like this? Probably not. Probably not. I'm curious what he's even going to say, honestly. Wait, do the jurors know about Chloe? Has anybody brought Chloe up in this one? I'm getting my confused from trial parts we've watched of trial one and this one. Because how are they going to introduce that Chloe existed? I don't recall. Oh, I guess they probably asked Jen. Yeah, they did ask Jen about Chloe. That's right. She's supposed to have been in the bedroom of Brian and Nicole when she went to wake them up, but she didn't say anything. She said she didn't even see Chloe there. So yeah, I guess that did happen. Where am I like? Oh, I didn't. It's probably because I didn't highlight anything, Llama. Get it together. Dave says if John was confronted, pushed, shoved, hit, the dog is going to go into attack mode and join in, or loud noises, right? Shouting. And see, I know dogs can sense pheromones that we put out that we don't even know, right? And the dog could have sensed this like extra stuff happening. Like there was a dog that I know smelled my fear, even though I wasn't showing it, and they definitely smelled it. So I mean, it could have been, a lot of maybe testosterone or something, along those lines. But he said yes. They asked about whether Chloe was rehomed or not. They asked, oh, Buchanan. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I think that Chloe was brought up with the two, Buchanan and with Jen. I People's mom says one of the gals at the house said she never met Chloe in all the years she knew Brian Jr. Yeah, was that Levison or Julie? I don't remember. I kind of forgot both of their testimony, to be quite honest. Yes, dogs definitely sense things that we don't even sense. So, all right, Buffy says she thinks it was Sarah. Okay. He said they had the vet records, but the vet record had no owner. Okay. All right. Interesting. Right, because then they get rid of their dog for 7 years right after this. Who bit a dog and I think 2 women in like I don't know if she meant to like bite the women or the women were trying to pull the dogs off of one another, because you can easily get bitten that way. No, it's not that they're trying to bite you, they're trying to bite the other dog and then you're in the way. I've had that happen before with puppies. But poor John's mom, look at her. She looks like she's having a rough day. And I imagine it is a very tough day for her. Okay. And they brought up the dog a lot too, and they brought it in opening statements. Okay. Dude, those opening statements like feel forever ago. We will be rewatching I do want to rewatch opening statements for this trial specifically. So we'll definitely be trying to watch those before they go into closing. Maybe that would be a good time, because I don't really remember much of what they talked about then. So, okay, she has 2 bites on record. Okay. Has anyone ever provided the police report of the biting incident with the 2 women? I have no idea. Good question. Because I think that they put the dog down. I don't know. Maybe it's not the same everywhere. Okay. There's Lally just hanging
May I
out.
proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
With Your Honor's permission to republish Exhibit 1. Thank you for your patience, Dr. Russell. Is what the wounds you see on Exhibit 1 consistent or inconsistent with what you have seen from your experience with regard to motor vehicle accident victims?
Inconsistent.
Oh, okay.
If I could have published Exhibit 206, which is in evidence, Your Honor. Do you recognize Exhibit 206?
Yes,
Did you review that as part of any report in this case?
yes.
And can you describe how you reviewed this document as part of your evaluation of this case?
Well, I reviewed the injuries, which are, so this is a decedent, a picture of a decedent, a different case, not the decedent in this case, totally separate case.
And
So
is this from Dr. Welcher's report that you reviewed?
Yes.
All right, so continue, please.
And so this is a person deceased, looks like in the street, and he's got multiple injuries. And this is allegedly from an auto versus pedestrian accident.
So if we could, are you able to discern any injuries to any limbs from this? If you could zoom in on the limbs, Mr. Wolf, thank you.
So there is a very extensive degloving, partially degloving, avulsion injury to the forearm of this individual, the extensive skin loss, damage to the subcutaneous tissue, possibly damage to other tissues beneath that.
And Mr. Wolk, if you could zoom back out and go to the list that is highlighted in the original of this. And Dr. Russell, can you tell me whether you evaluated the list, and if so, how did you evaluate that list in connection with the photo?
Well, the photo is limited only really to the upper chest and the right arm. And so I can't comment on any of the CAT scan findings here on this list, but this was a list of numerous traumatic injuries to this person. And regarding the arm, it says right upper extremity wound with vascular injury, clinical.
What does that mean, if anything, to you?
Well, that suggests it's a soft tissue wound. However, what they're saying is clinical, so they're not commenting on if there were any X-ray findings, for instance, on an X-ray, but I mean, would be a post-mortem X-ray. And this is just a clinical diagnosis or a visual hands-on diagnosis.
Do you know whether that line that you just read relates to any part of the photograph? Any part of the photograph?
Well, I believe it relates to that injury that we pointed out in the previous photograph.
Can you switch back to that, please, Mr. Wolf? And if you could just zoom in and just what does...
So this is the wound that they are talking about. It's a large gaping wound, soft tissue wound.
If we could go back to the list, please. Zoom in, thank you.
But
Please continue.
what I was going to say is that there are multiple other injuries in this person, multiple serious, significant injuries, subdural hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage, intraventricular hemorrhage, liver laceration, pneumothorax, that's blood and air in the chest cavity outside of the lungs. So it's in an area where it shouldn't be. This person had numerous injuries.
Are you able to compare these injuries in that photo in this Exhibit 206? And did you compare them to your review of the autopsy report and other medical records of Mr. O'Keefe?
Sustained.
Answer the question? Oh. Okay.
You can take that down. From your review, did Mr. O'Keefe sustain any liver laceration?
No.
Did Mr. O'Keefe sustain any gaping, as you called it, lacerations to the right forearm?
No.
Did Mr. O'Keefe sustain any pneumothorax injuries that you were describing with regard to 206?
No hemopneumothorax.
Let's switch to another topic. Let's talk about clothing of the decedent. In forming your opinion, did you consider Mr. O'Keefe's clothing in relation to his wounds?
Yes.
If we could, Your Honor, have Exhibit 150 in evidence published.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's depicted in Exhibit 150?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a picture of part of the hoodie, sweatshirt or shirt that Mr. O'Keefe was wearing at the time.
And wearing when?
At the time of his death.
And did you evaluate this photo as part of your review of the autopsy report?
Yes.
And we're going to come back to this. If we could please switch to, Your Honor, 147C in evidence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have some fabric coming out of the hole towards the exterior of the jacket or the shirt.
Did you attribute any significance to the shape of the wound? And if so, what significance?
The shape of the hole, yes. So it's rounded. I actually attributed a lot of significance to that.
Describe a lot of significance that you attributed to this.
Why he did that too fast?
Well, I believe that this hole was made by a canine tooth. And with the tooth going into the shirt, reaching the skin, and then coming out of the shirt, pulling out some fabric with it.
And we'll come back to this. If we could, Mr. Wolk, go to 147D as in David that's in evidence. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes.
What is it?
A round hole in the shirt, again with some fabric fibers pointing towards the outside of the shirt.
Is this the same hole that we just saw on 147C or a different hole?
Could we go back? I don't know.
Okay, so let's now go back to Exhibit 150. What significance, if any, do you give to the various triangles that are on the hoodie? Could you describe to the jury what those are and what's their purpose?
So the triangles are labels that were placed by either the police or the crime lab or someone, and the point of the triangle generally is pointing towards a hole in the shirt. As you can see, there are multiple ones here, and I want to make sure that you don't confuse it with this rather large defect, which is caused by something else.
So let's start with each one, and we'll go through these quickly. Let's start and zoom in on number 1. What did you conclude about the source of that hole in the hoodie?
Sustained.
Did you evaluate what is depicted as number 1 in that slide as part of your review?
Yes.
And what was your evaluation?
Sustained.
Let's go back and zoom out. Have you in your career examined clothing either as part of your forensic pathology practice or your emergency medicine practice to determine the source of defects in clothing?
Yes.
How many times have you done that approximately in your career?
Several hundred.
And have you, in that those several hundred times, have you ever had to reach a conclusion as to whether there was any connection between defects in clothing and wounds to humans?
Many times.
Can you give some examples of the many times you've had to look at clothing and defects in clothing to assist you in determining wound recognition in a human?
Yes. So let me clarify. It's mostly used in forensic pathology, not so much in emergency medicine. The clothing and the cause of the wound is as important as in emergency medicine as the treatment of the wound. But in forensic pathology, it's a key component to any examination where you think that it was an unnatural death. So, so I've done it in gunshot wounds, in stab wounds, multiple times. Looking at the defects, looking at the direction of the, of what I think the bullet, bullet track was, determining entry and exit wounds. In stab wounds, I've utilized them to help determine offensive and defensive wounds or injuries. So yes, many times.
Have you ever performed that analysis? You mentioned, testified earlier, 500 to 1,000 evaluations of dog-inflicted wounds on humans. Have you ever performed the analysis of defects in clothing and compared them to wounds on humans in the context of dog-inflicted wounds on humans?
I don't think so. Perhaps in that one.
Well, yes. So in terms of, have there been any instances of doing that in your career? Have you done that at all in your career?
Maybe that one child.
All right. So let's go now to
What is that? And why is it happening?
you were
Sorry, guys. That wasn't me.
discussing the defects in the arm, as well as the wounds in the arm, and then the defects in the clothing. In terms of the, back to Exhibit 1. In terms of that pattern that is in the arm, and in terms, let's go back to the hoodie. I'll strike that. Have you, in your career, in the terms of evaluating motor vehicle accidents, have you evaluated the clothing of victims of motor vehicle accidents?
Yes.
How many times roughly have you evaluated what clothing looks like in terms of motor vehicle accidents?
Well, in many cases, I had to cut off the clothing in the emergency department, so I observed the clothing then, and then in the post-mortem cases, I evaluated the clothing, but oftentimes sometimes it wasn't helpful.
Have you ever evaluated clothing in determining whether or not the defects in the clothing are consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle accident? Have you ever evaluated that as a forensic pathologist?
Not specifically.
Right. And in terms of your observations in either emergency medicine or forensic pathology, have you ever observed defects from motor vehicle accidents in clothing?
Yes.
Is what is depicted in this exhibit consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle accident?
Sustained.
In determining, let's go back to Exhibit 1, please. In determining and reaching your opinion with regard to the source of these wounds, is it necessary for you to reach that opinion to see a specific dog to determine whether the wounds are from a dog in general?
No.
And in your experience that you talked about earlier today, the 500 to 1,000, was it ever necessary in that experience to go locate the dog, to see the dog, to treat or evaluate the patient?
No.
Why is it, well, in terms of, we're going to move to another category, studies. Did you review any studies informing your opinions in this case?
Can we put the lights on and take this?
Yeah,
down,
yes,
Mr.
thank you,
Vice
Your
Mayor?
Honor. Yes.
Yes, many.
And did those studies that you review support or not support your conclusions in this case?
Sustain.
Which studies did you rely upon?
Well, I reviewed quite a few, 10 to 20 in depth, and I relied a lot on 2 of the articles.
Do you recall the names of the lead authors in the studies that you said, that you just referenced?
Yes, one of them was Demuniak.
Could you spell that, please?
I wish. DEMUNNYCK, I believe.
And was there?
And then there was another one, Pollack, POLLACK.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, my recollection is correct. We've already pre-marked as exhibits for identification these studies, 2 studies. I may be incorrect in that. If so, I have studies. I'm going to show them to Mr. Yes, thank you. So we can just make sure I have all the pages. Do you have these handed out for the order?
Oh, I have none.
Okay, if I can just have a moment, Your Honor. Okay, I've got them. These are them. If I could have marked for identification as one document, please.
Exhibit PPP for ID.
One more, Madam Court Reporter, thank you.
And exhibit QQQ for ID.
Mr. Alessi would, and the court reporters down.
Sure. Yes, Your Honor.
Which is what?
Exhibit PPP is the Demuniak, and exhibit QQQ is Pollack, and those are the lead author names. You're welcome. Yeah, I leave them with the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Russell, I have provided you with those 2 exhibits. I would ask you to just briefly take a look at them and let me know whether you recognize those as the articles that you were referencing before?
Yes,
Now let's start out with the Munich study. Is that exhibit PPP?
PP.
Right. So is this the study that you referenced earlier in your testimony?
Yes,
Can you briefly describe for the jury how that study related to the opinions in this case?
Sustained.
Are these the studies that you cite to as a basis for support for your opinions in this case?
yes,
And is QQQ a study that also supports your opinion in this case?
yes,
Now, in terms of your conclusions with regard to, if we can go back once more to exhibit number 1. With regard to your opinion on the cause of these injuries, can you once again state your opinion as to the cause of these injuries?
I believe these injuries were caused by a dog attack.
So I'm going to strike that word.
Yeah, so Dr. Russell, if you could, with regard to bite parlance, can you state what your opinion is with regard to bite? So do you have an opinion as to what caused these injuries?
Yes, I believe that these injuries are the result of dog bites and or claw marks.
And do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes,
That is all the questions I have for this witness at this time.
Oh, okay. Let's see what Brennan's going to be like.
Okay.
I bet it's being a D. I guess I can fix that. My chair is synced throughout the day. No, not at all. Oh, look at Terry renewing her member. Want to see a video of Chloe proving she is alive. I know, right? I was gonna be mean. He's even wearing like his mob suit
May
today.
I? Yes. Good afternoon, Dr. Russell.
good afternoon, Mr. Brennan.
Dr. Russell, we've met before.
Yes,
I've asked you questions before,
yes,
and you've testified before where I've had a chance to ask you about some of your
Oh, thank you, Kelly
statements and
P.
opinions, haven't I?
yes,
Congrats to all of our new members. Thank you, Callie.
Before this case,
Appreciate you.
had you ever testified as an expert in dog bites in any federal court in the United States?
no,
Before this case, had you ever testified in any state court in anywhere in the country as an expert in dog bites?
no,
Other than this case, have you ever testified in a courtroom as an expert about dog bites?
no,
Last year, you learned that there was litigation regarding this case, Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, correct?
yes,
You learned a little bit of information about it, and it piqued your interest, didn't it?
yes,
Did you know that the case was receiving a lot of attention?
no.
Did you know that it was on television?
I had no idea until I got here.
You spoke to a colleague in Los Angeles, correct?
I'm sorry, I spoke to who?
A colleague?
I spoke to a district attorney in Los Angeles.
And did you just bring up the subject, or did that person bring it up to you?
I brought it up.
When you brought that up, is it because you knew of the relationship between that district attorney and somebody on the defense team?
Yes.
You wanted to get involved in this high-profile case, didn't you?
No.
Well,
Bro.
you weren't called by anybody on the defense and retained as an expert in the traditional sense, were you?
That's correct.
It was after you reached out yourself and interjected yourself into this case, true?
I did so for a reason.
You mean you're doing this?
The reason being that I knew I was
$400,000?
one of the only people in the United States board certified and residency trained in emergency medicine and also residency trained in forensic pathology. And therefore I had a unique skill or knowledge set. And I was one of the very few people that had the knowledge of dog bites, as well as those other trainings.
And because of the fact that you held this opinion about yourself, you wanted to get involved in this very high-profile case, didn't you?
I thought I could help clarify the issues as to whether or not this could be a dog bite, and maybe they could move on to something else if it wasn't.
Did you want to get involved?
No, not really.
Inevitably, you got hired by the defense, didn't you?
Yes, I reluctantly agreed.
And they paid for your time?
They are paying for the time.
Yes. Did you know
Okay,
that there was a relationship between the district attorney you spoke to in California and somebody on this defense table?
I know, yes.
So when you spoke to the district attorney, did you have the hope that they would reach out on your behalf to get you involved in this case?
As I said, I hoped that they could reach out to the team and I could help clarify issues so that they could move on. If it wasn't, if these weren't dog bites, then no sense spending a whole bunch of time on it.
After you testified in this case last year, you then began to advertise yourself as a dog bite expert, didn't you?
I had advertised myself many years ago as a dog bite expert, I think. I'm not sure, but yes, I did advertise myself as a emergency medicine and forensic pathology expert.
Did you take
with other, sub interests.
Sure. Did you take a photograph of you testifying at trial and put it on a website to promote your accomplishments?
It's a listing service for physicians. And yes, there is a photograph.
So you took a photograph from your participation in this event,
Yes, that's there.
and you used that photograph in your participation at this event to try to procure future work, didn't you?
Oh,
I wouldn't say that that was the reason, no.
When you listed a number of things that you have experience in after this case, you then added that you were an expert in dog bites, didn't you?
I believe I am an expert in dog bites, yes.
But after this case, and after you took the photograph from this case, and after you created this advertising, you then added the fact that you were an expert in dog bites, didn't you?
It was all at the same time. And it was submitted at the same time.
Right. After this case, after you participated and
Well-
volunteered to involve yourself in this case, you then used it as a marketing opportunity, didn't you?
Well, I also I had retired from my full-time job and I had time and I wanted to get more involved in some forensic legal cases and not specifically dog bite cases. I have much more experience with other cases.
Undoubtedly, I respect that. But simply, after you testified in this case, you did use your participation as a way to try to garner future interest in
is this why you took the case,
cases and
Brennan?
income, didn't you?
Is it so you
I
can be more
did,
notable?
but I
Is
did
that
not
why?
mention this case.
Have you testified in any other court since this case as a dog bite expert?
No,
You had written a few articles that were peer reviewed on dog bites back in, is it the 1990s?
yes,
And they involved law enforcement canines.
yes,
And you describe in those articles how a law enforcement canine grabs and holds. Is that the technique they call it?
yes,
Where they lock their jaw and then they pull and hold on to the subject that they're attacking or holding.
yes, that's what they were trained to do back then.
And you would agree that there's a difference between generally the way a domestic dog bites and a law enforcement dog bites.
Generally, yes.
since those two articles in 1990, have you authored anything else regarding dog bites?
No.
You had mentioned that you had gone to seminars regarding identification. Now, I had a chance to ask you a number of months ago about some details about training and education you have on pattern recognition analysis as it specifically relates to dog bites. Remember, I asked you those questions a number of months ago?
I believe you did.
And I'd asked you if you could give us any specific listed trainings that you had regarding pattern recognition analysis of dog bites. And at that time, you did not have any names of any classes or seminars or certificates that you have. You mentioned again today that you have attended seminars regarding dog identification analysis. Do you now know some of those trainings and seminars? And are any of those listed on your CV?
The trainings that I went to on bite marks in general, they were bite marks in general, and included things like how to determine what was a human bite, how to differentiate a human bite from a dog bite. But no, I did not specifically attend seminars limited to dog bites only. However, actually, there was one this past February that I did attend at the American Academy of Forensic Science.
Over your many, many decades, you did not attend any seminars on pattern recognition analysis of dog bites, did you?
Of specifically dog bites? No.
I only want to talk about dog bites. I know you're well trained and educated. I respect
they even
that, but I want to
exist,
talk about
though?
dog bites. You didn't attain any certificates in pattern recognition analysis of dog bites, did you?
I don't think there are any that exist, any training programs like that.
That's what I wondered.
Forensically, have you ever been presented with a wound and been asked to determine whether or not the source of it was a dog bite, other than right here in this very case? Have you ever been asked to do that in your entire history?
In my clinical career, perhaps once or twice, but not, not that I can give you a specific name.
Well, the couple times, tell us what stands out. When were you asked ever over your entire career to do a forensic evaluation of a wound and identify whether it was a dog bite? When did that happen?
A forensic evaluation? No, never,
Never.
never.
Okay.
It just doesn't come up.
Okay. And so this is the first shot, the first crack you've had at looking at a photograph and trying to make a determination based just on a photograph whether or not the wound is generated from a particular mechanism, and in this case, your opinion, a dog bite.
No, actually, I disagree. I've been taking photographs of dog bites since the 1990s.
And when you took the photographs, you knew they were dog bites.
I did know that there were dog bites.
Have you-
Yes, I have a collection.
Kelly, I got
I didn't mean to
flowers
interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Are they on the cross yet?
That was it.
and wine. Yes.
So
I'm about
not when
15
you
minutes
knew it was a
off.
dog bite and you took a photo. I know you have an interest. I'm asking, other than this case, there was never, ever a time in your career where you were presented with a photo and asked to give an opinion whether the mechanism of injury was a dog bite, other than this case.
That's correct.
So this is not a pattern recognition analysis engagement that you have any experience in before this effort.
I've recognized that pattern many times.
I appreciate your opinion, but I want to ask my question. You do not have experience over your long, accomplished career in the effort of pattern recognition analysis of dog bite wounds. Isn't that fair to say?
Okay.
You mentioned before, and you just mentioned again, so I want to ask you some more questions. You believe that you are uniquely qualified to look at a photograph and give an opinion about the source of the injury.
I'm not uniquely qualified. That's done all the time in forensic pathology. Many forensic pathologists do that.
Did you just say you're one of the very few physicians in the United States who has both the forensic and the clinical experience to look at a photograph and make a determination, the mechanism of injury?
No, I said, if I said that, then that was incorrect. I meant dog bites. But your question just now was not specific to dog bites.
You're right.
Postmortem photographs are used all the time in forensic pathology for second opinions.
You're right. My apologies. Did you say today and before, have you said
Stop it,
that
Brennan.
you believe you're one of the only few physicians in the United States who could authoritatively distinguish between causes of wounds when it relates to dog bites?
I did say that, and that's because of my unique training. I don't know of another doctor in the whole United States that did 2 residencies, one in emergency medicine and one in forensic pathology, and has a lifelong interest in dog bites.
So, Dr. Russell, from your perspective, as far as you know, you were the only person in the entire United States of America who was qualified to look at a photograph and make a determination whether the wound was derived from a dog bite.
No, I am one of I'm the only physician that I know of that can do that. There may be, a few others out there. There may be, but I don't know of any other physicians that can do that.
Do you recognize anybody other than yourself who has this very particular expertise to be able to do this kind of work?
I'm not aware of anyone.
You were a medical examiner, a forensic pathologist,
Yes,
and you know there's about, or would you agree there's probably about 900 to 1,000 medical examiners around the country at the same time over a period of time?
I believe that there might be. Yeah,
And
there's
to a
probably.
1,000? That's
I
not
think there's
very
around 500 or 600 practicing forensic pathologists.
And do you think because they are forensic pathologists, those 500 or 600 people have the unique qualifications as you do to be able to give an opinion about the genesis of a wound?
Wounds in general, perhaps. Dog bite wounds, I doubt that very many of them have a specific interest in dog bite wounds.
And so you think that of all those forensic pathologists, medical examiners, you think that qualification and experience itself is not enough to qualify somebody to give an opinion on a photograph about the genesis of a wound related to dog bites?
Well, if a forensic pathologist has autopsied 1 or 2 cases of dog bite wounds versus my experience with over 500 to 1,000 cases of dog bite wounds, I'm not so sure that that person would be a very good expert in that kind of a case.
Have you ever heard of a doctor named Dr. La Posada?
I've heard of Dr. La Posada.
Have you ever read any reports by Dr. La Posada?
No,
Has anybody ever shared with you any information or opinions of Dr. La Posada?
I believe she has a very good reputation.
Have you ever, well, how do you believe that? Who told you that?
Because I've heard of her name at national organizations. I believe she's given presentations nationally. I've seen her name, over a dozen years or so.
Do you know whether or not she has any participation in this case?
She's on the defense
believe she
witness
does.
list.
Well, so
Sorry.
you know when you're providing accolades that she has maybe some involvement in this case? You know that?
I would provide those same accolades if she didn't have involvement in this case.
Do you know that she has involvement in this case?
I believe she does. The attorneys have not shared everything with me
Well,
in terms of who the witnesses are.
somebody must have shared her name. Who shared her name with you?
I'm very familiar with her name
Sure.
outside this case.
Who shared her name that she may be a participant in this case?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Well, somebody might.
I think I got a file or something, but yeah.
So when you were reviewing this case, did you get materials from any of the attorneys authored by Dr. La Posada?
I don't think I read a report. I was very interested. in reading a report by Dr. Lapasad. I was very interested, but I didn't see one.
So when you received materials in this case, you didn't read all the materials the defense gave you?
I don't believe they gave me the report.
What report?
Any report that Dr. Lapasada might have written.
Do you know whether or not you've received the report or not?
I received something that had her name on it. I don't remember what it was, but I was looking for a medical examiner's or a report, an actual report, and I did not see one.
Dr. Russell, you are meticulous when you
No.
look and examine things.
Right.
So you would know what you've received and what you've read and what you haven't. So the fact that you're telling us that you saw something with her name on it, can you give us a little more information and share with us what it is you actually received about this Dr. Lapasada? What did you get from the defense?
I saw something. I think it was the name of a file folder, but I looked for a report and there was no report in it.
Did you ever ask for one?
I didn't ask because I didn't ask. I really wanted to read it, but I didn't. It wasn't given to me, so I didn't ask.
Were you ever told what other people's opinions might be regarding those photographs?
I'm aware that there was a Dr. Sheridan involved in a previous proceeding, and he believed that those were consistent with dog bites.
Did you ever receive any reports from the defense about what other persons' opinions would be in this trial about dog bites?
Oh, yes, I received a report authored by a non-physician. Yes.
So when you say non-physician, you're trying to make the point because you think that person might be your opponent in this case?
I don't have any opponents
Okay, so why did you qualify him as a non-physician?
because I believe that in order to really understand wounds on a human being, one needs to have treated wounds, seen lots of wounds, and I think that the person that is best qualified for that is a physician.
So a medical examiner wouldn't cut it, in your opinion?
Medical examiner is a physician.
So you think a medical examiner has enough experience to come in and give an opinion on
Some-
dog bites?
Some, but in their case, I would hope that they have had actual clinical experience with autopsying some cases where there were dog bite wounds, because I don't think they worked in the emergency room or any other clinical setting where they treated people. So I'd want to see if they had experience with dog bites.
Non-doctor as a disqualification. How about a dog trainer? Would a dog trainer who's not a doctor have the experience in your mind to come in?
I mean, yes, but no.
Opinion about photographs and the genesis of the wounds?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
Oh, shut up,
A non-doctor, as you said, you made a distinction.
Uh-huh.
They're simply a dog trainer, maybe even an uncertified dog trainer. Would that person have the qualifications in your mind to be able to look at photographs and determine whether or not the cause of the injury is a dog bite?
There may be a certain small subset of people who have, very much experience with dog bites that could qualify as suggesting that these are consistent with dog bites, but I don't think that they could definitively. I think that someone could, who dealt with many dog bites in the past on humans, could possibly say that they were consistent with.
Even if they didn't have the clinical experience?
Well, I'd prefer to hear that information from a physician, but I wouldn't rule out that only doctors, only a physician, MD, could say that something was a dog bite.
It seems like the standard is now kind of changing a little bit.
Oh, shut up, Brennan.
Objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The other
Objection.
person, you disqualified the person because they weren't a doctor. It seems now in some instances, you're willing to accept a non-doctor into your very select group of experts.
I can explain. If someone had looked at perhaps hundreds and hundreds of wounds inflicted by a dog that they know was inflicted by a dog, and they saw the resulting photographs on a person, I think that particular person may be able to make some comment as to whether or not some wounds are consistent. However, Um, if in terms of a medical examiner, if they've autopsied one case or two cases of dog bites and they're trying to testify based on some pictures, I would be a little concerned about that.
Does qualification for this type of business, in your mind, depend on who hires you?
Absolutely not.
Suffice to say, you've never taken a class in the forensic analysis of
Sir,
dog
you
bites.
hired clowns.
I don't think any class
Clowns.
exists.
But I'm asking about your experience.
Well, that's correct.
You haven't, have you?
That's correct. I can't take a course that doesn't exist.
You've never engaged in any type of opinion looking at photographs and then had that opinion peer reviewed by other dog bite experts, have you?
No.
As I just yelled in a Starbucks.
Do you have any experience in veterinarian medicine?
I'm aware of it. That's my experience.
Do you have any accomplishments like degrees?
No.
The audacity of this guy. I mean, I know he's
You've
doing his job,
testified a
like,
number of times in this case, haven't you?
Yes.
And when you testify, you know there's a court reporter and there are transcripts, correct?
Yes.
You originally testified when you first came out and volunteered to testify last year, and there was a hearing before trial, wasn't there?
Excuse me? Say again,
When you
please.
volunteered to come out last year, there was a hearing before you testified at trial, wasn't there?
Yes.
Do you remember that was on June 18, 2022?
Sounds right.
And then you testified at trial on June 21st, 2022.
Yes.
I didn't have the privilege of meeting you on either of those events, did I?
No.
But since then, we have met,
Yes.
and we had a chance to speak at a subsequent hearing on December 12, 2024.
Yes.
And then after that, we again had an opportunity to discuss this on January 7, 2025.
Yes.
When you reviewed the case, when you first reviewed it before you testified last year, you had very limited information, didn't you?
Yes.
You had just an autopsy report, photographs from the coroner, photographs from the hospital, an emergency room report. Yes?
Yes. I had more than that.
The medical examiner file had a toxicology report.
Yes. And there was more.
Okay.
I believe there was a dog bite, a town of Canton report.
Okay. So when you had an opportunity to look at the medical examiner's report, you yourself had been a medical examiner, correct?
Yes.
And there's a unique advantage of actually conducting an autopsy as opposed to just looking at photographs, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
And if you are actually conducting the autopsy, you firsthand can make observations about injuries, make measurements, and see things that don't always appear in photographs.
That's correct.
And when you would do medical exams, you had a distinct advantage over people who would later see your work, a written report, or photographs, because you were there actually conducting the investigation.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And it's for that reason that when you testified before,
It's
you
too good
have
of a word.
acknowledged that you relied on Dr. Scorty Bellows' report for information
Yes.
because you didn't have the benefit of doing measurements or looking at depths or anything else firsthand.
Yes. Correct.
And when you looked at that photograph that you discussed with the jury, you also had a chance to see Dr. Scorty Bellows' report regarding the abrasions on Mr. O'Keefe's arm.
Yes.
She described those abrasions as superficial, didn't she?
Yes.
She actually gave measurements, 3 centimeter superficial abrasion on the right medial upper arm. Right?
Yes.
You not only read that, you deferred to her ability to have a firsthand observation, and you accepted that as true, didn't you?
Yes, but there's no interpretation of that abrasion.
Multiple abrasions from 2 to 3 millimeters and up to 7 centimeters on the posterior right arm and forearm.
Yes.
Did you read that from
I
Dr.
did.
Scortabello?
Yes.
Did you accept her finding and observation?
Yes.
And you would agree she was in a far superior position than you when she made these observations and notes, correct?
They are not inconsistent with what I said.
That's not what I asked, though.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be sharp. I
Okay.
apologize.
Mm.
Did you rely on her ability and firsthand observation of those wounds?
Yes.
And did you appreciate or accept the fact she had a superior opportunity to evaluate those wounds firsthand that you did not have the benefit of?
She made no interpretation of those ones.
Well,
Right.
Did you know that Dr. Scotti-Bello had described them as superficial?
They are.
Did you know that she said there was
Mhm.
no depth and no puncture?
Not
Yeah.
inconsistent with what I said.
I understand, doctor, but I'm asking you, do you
I-
know that her position is that there was no puncture and no depth to those wounds?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we have the witness see the report that he keeps referring to?
Can you answer that question without seeing it, or do you need to see it?
Well, I remember it, but there's no inconsistency here. I agree with that.
Would you accept that Dr. Scotti-Bello's opinion is that there was no depth and no puncture to those wounds?
Yeah.
May I see the report?
It
She
might
said
not
the
be in
same
the
damn
report.
thing.
I'm asking about any testimony, anything that she's ever said. Would you agree or accept her position that there is no puncture or depth to those wounds?
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like all the questions that were about an autopsy.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You can-
Sidebar.
Okay.
Oh, we're getting a sidebar. What is he doing? What is he? These are the weirdest, like, gotcha questions. She literally said the same exact things, that there's no puncture wounds, that these were superficial because they didn't go into the soft tissue. Like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And yes, this jury, I agree with Buffy, this jury must have been showing signs that they really like this lady because he just apologized for his behavior. And we haven't seen him be like that with anyone else. Also, earlier, I forget who said in chat, so she was on like a 2-day voir dire before this trial, but fuckface Brennan wasn't. That's wild to me. She is overly qualified. That is wild. But like, okay, so she hasn't taken any courses that don't exist for dog bites, sure. But like when you have to choose who you want to come up, like sure, you could have somebody that has a lot of years of experience with dogs, okay. But everyone knows a physician will hold more weight in their testimony. They're a more solid witness, right? Not because one is necessarily better, but those qualifications really up the ante. Oh, hello, George. Hello. Jury has picked up on the CW's aggression to the witness. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, Brennan does seem to be getting a little annoyed, but he is not contesting that they're dog bites. Not contest. I mean, he's a little here and there, but not as much as one would think he should be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go with this. She can get certified for Scorpion over here. School of Dog Bites. Sign up today. Okay, so they voir dired her twice, once in this trial and once in the last trial. That is insane that she was up there so long for voir dire. But then those amateur clowns weren't. Like, oh, he's trying to be like, oh, so you really wanted to be on this trial to make something of yourself or whatever. Get out of here. Get out of here. She doesn't need this for her job. She is retired, basically. All right. I think he's annoyed because, oh, that's right. The defense found a good witness that they didn't have to pay $400,000 for and then look like a fool to the world because people all over the world are watching this thing. It's crazy. Jim, hello, Jim. Says she's extremely likable. Former police officer, put herself through college, then medical school, agreed. And considering her age, age she looks, I imagine that these were done in years where, it would have been maybe a little bit harder for her to do or be taken seriously or, all of that. She is very accomplished. Very accomplished. Haley says they are definitely dog bites. I mean, I get it now for sure. And her explanation of why they kind of like dragged across the skin, it makes a hell of a lot more sense than a tail light, than a broken tail light. That's for darn sure. Sorry, I'm a little spicy today. I think we're all spicy today. No, he's not really contesting that they're dog bites yet. Not really. So, I mean, he was trying to discredit her by saying there weren't like, dog bite classes that she should have taken because they didn't exist. So yeah, they've been trying to discredit her, but it doesn't seem like a lot of contesting going on here. Scorpio says, free first class and a free dog toy. Love it. Love it. Well, it's not working great for them is what's happening. What is happening? Yeah, it's just attacking her credentials and whatever, but it's like, sir, get out of here with that nonsense. Right? She has plenty of street cred. I don't get it. And I don't know who the other woman was he was talking about that she brought up. It was, what was her name? Oh, Lapisada. Elizabeth Lapisada. Who is that? Because she's on the defense witness list, but I don't know who that person is that they're referring to. Oh, yeah, she is going to have to pay the bill on that one. Breezy says in 2010, my neighbor's dog bit my dog on her head and neck. I saw it with my own eyes. Those are dog bites on John's arm. I'm thinking so. The Boston Mongoose. Oh. Sorry, I didn't get through these quick enough. Right? Come on.
May I?
Yes, please.
Dr. Russell, I read to you the measurements that were in Dr. Scorti-Bello's report. Are you aware that she testified that these superficial abrasions did not have any depth or any puncture?
I don't recall that.
Well, would you agree if Dr. Scorti-Bello testified in this court that those superficial abrasions did not have any puncture or depth? Would you agree with that assessment?
Objection, Your Honor.
In that form, it's sustained.
Would you agree that the superficial abrasions on Mr. O'Keefe's arm had no punctures?
I agree.
Would you agree that the abrasions, the superficial abrasions
Correct.
on Mr. O'Keefe's arm had no depth?
No measurable depth. Yes.
Between the last time you testified and then you testified here today, have you spoken to the attorneys at all regarding the issue of punctures?
No.
Because you are agreeing today that those superficial abrasions did not have any punctures, right?
They don't appear to have any punctures.
But you, in the past, have testified very, very differently than that, haven't you?
No.
Now, we've spoken many times. I'm going to go through many of those examples later, but we'll do that a little bit later, Dr. Russell. Over the course of your many testimonies under oath, would it be fair to say that you have changed your opinions about the superficial abrasions to John O'Keefe's arm many times?
I don't believe that's fair to say.
In the past, when you were describing Mr. O'Keefe's superficial abrasions on his arm, did you give varying and different opinions about the cause of each individual wound, area of wound?
I don't believe so.
When you first gave opinions, that was before the last proceeding. You came in and you were questioned before you testified in that initial proceeding, right? I'm trying to be as specific as I can. You testified last year?
Yes,
And
in
Please.
there was a hearing and then there was a proceeding.
Okay. That prior hearing, can we call the first event the prior hearing and the next one the prior proceeding?
I'm confused.
I don't want to confuse you. I'm just trying to follow the rules. You testified twice last year, didn't you?
3 times.
3 times. Okay. The first time you testified was just before the judge?
Yes,
Okay. When you first testified before the judge, do you remember that you had uncertainty about how each and every one of those wounds was caused?
I don't remember that.
And do you remember when you then testified a couple days later at the proceeding that some of your opinions changed from the first time you testified?
I don't believe that.
And then when you later met me and we've had a chance to talk over the last 2 events, December and January, would it be fair to say that your opinions regarding the individual areas of wound changed?
I don't believe so.
Okay. At some point before or during our conversations in December and January, you wrote a report, didn't you?
Yes,
When you wrote that report, you hadn't written a report before the first time you came in and testified, had you?
that's correct.
By the way, she only
And it
testified
was
for
between those
48 minutes
hearings in
in the last
December
trial.
and in
48.
January where you wrote your first report.
Sounds correct.
You dated that report December 9th, 2024. Does that ring a bell?
Yes,
When you wrote that report, you did not write that report alone, did you?
I did.
You had some help, didn't you?
Not in the content of the report.
Well, you sent the report back a number of times for review and revisions, didn't you?
In terms of organization,
And some of the language in this report is really not your language. It's the language of somebody who helped you write some of this, isn't it?
you know, if somebody helped me write it, it would have been much better written than that.
Didn't you agree that you had some assistance with the report? Haven't you testified to that before?
And no, and in terms of organization, there was some comments though, this sentence belongs, you know, with this paragraph or the, you know, whatever. But in terms of content, that was my work.
Well, it was your report, correct?
It's my report.
And when you write a report, it's your words, not somebody else's. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
But nevertheless, you had somebody assisting you. True.
In terms of organization, yes.
Who was helping you with the report?
It was somebody from the law office.
Well, it was this gentleman right here, Attorney Alisi, who just asked you questions. He helped you,
No,
didn't he?
actually it wasn't.
Was it from his law firm that somebody helped you?
I believe so, but it was in terms of organization.
Do you remember who was helping you with your report?
I don't remember her name.
Would you agree that after that report was written, many of your opinions changed?
No,
In your report, you provide your background. Yes?
yes,
And you've been licensed to practice medicine since 1988
yes,
as a physician?
yes.
And you've been licensed to practice medicine as a surgeon?
It's called, in California, it's called physician and surgeon license.
Do you have a physician and surgeon's license?
I do.
Okay. Have you ever practiced as a surgeon?
Well, in the emergency department, we do surgery. We have to do some surgery sometimes. We have to open up people's chests and, you know, and compress the heart sometimes when they're have gunshot wounds to the chest. I've had to put chest tubes in. I've had to debride dog bite wounds and other wounds. So yes, there is a component of surgery.
If you do stitches, that's considered surgery, isn't it?
Maybe.
Well, medically speaking, stitches is surgery.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Do you have a surgeon's license?
I have a physician and surgeon's license in California.
Now, when you first looked at this case and testified, do you remember when you were looking at Mr. O'Keefe's superficial wounds, you said that you thought they appeared to be consistent with an animal attack?
I do remember that.
And when you were describing animal attack, you were a lot less specific than you were today, weren't you?
Yes.
You were less sure about your opinion when you first testified about this case than you provided to this jury today.
I was certain that it was a dog attack. However, as I mentioned before to you, in medicine, we're taught never, nothing is 100%, and therefore never say, anything's 100%. So that's why I gave that that generalization. However, I have reviewed the case. I personally was certain that those were dog marks. Now, I have reviewed this case over and over and over again. Plus, I've read additional articles more than once, and which substantiate again my findings. So, so my degree of certainty perhaps increased.
So when you first testified in this case back in June of 2022, are you agreeing that your testimony was less certain than today?
I believed that it was a dog attack at that time.
When you testified, you didn't say dog attack, you said animal attack at the beginning, didn't you?
Yes.
And when you were asked about the cause, you said that it could be bite or scratch wounds.
Correct.
So back in June, when you were looking at individual wounds, you, at that time anyways, were unable to differentiate between bite and scratch wounds.
They are very similar.
I understand, but today you seem pretty unequivocal. So I want to go back to the beginning and see the evolution. I'm asking a question.
Oh, obviously.
So the argumentative part is out. Ask the question, Mr. Wood.
I want to go back to identify the evolution of your opinions. So let's start at the beginning.
So question, please.
At the beginning, before your opinion evolved, you started with an opinion that this could have been either bite or scratch wounds, right?
Yes.
And if there was actually a methodology where you could identify superficial abrasions and make a determination whether it was from an animal or a dog, there would be something definitive, specific, where you could identify a scratch from a bite wound, wouldn't there be?
Not unless there was a piece of tooth in the wound or a piece of nail. There would otherwise not be any specificity.
You talked about patterns when you first testified back in June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talked about the patterns, again, you had some uncertainty whether those patterns were caused by nails, claws, or could have been caused by teeth. Isn't that fair to say originally that was your position?
Yes, there is some overlap in terms of the appearances. They can appear very similar, and they can be arranged very similar in terms of parallel lines.
In fact, when you first testified, you weren't consistently even saying that it was a dog, or as you say today, dog attack. You were saying, in your opinion, that they were the result of animal bites or scratches. That was what you originally opined, isn't it?
We just went through that, yes.
And at some point, you said that it might most likely be a large dog. Do you remember that?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we approach with regard to this line of questioning?
So why don't we break for today? All right.
Why don't we just
Jury's
end
not
for
going
today?
today for the next 5 minutes, so it seems like it's a good place to break. I do have to give you those same cautions. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Please be very careful with your social media use. Tomorrow is also a full day. We'll see you. Thank you very
Great.
much. Dr. Russell, you can again just.
Did she just say tomorrow is also a full day? Oh,
Okay, thank you.
oh snap. Okay. Did you guys just hear
Can I
that?
see counsel while the jury's filing out, please?
Did y'all hear? It's a full day tomorrow? Because that's what I just heard. I'm going to need somebody to fact check that for me because on Friday, we were saying, yeah, okay, that's what I heard too. Oh, okay. So we might have a full day tomorrow then, which is okay. Take it. I wonder if maybe they just had something else going on and then it got canceled or something. That is right, correct. That is not what they posted on Friday. That's true. Everyone said Tuesday, Friday off, half day Thursday. So we'll see. She didn't even tell them about the whole week plan. So I don't even know. But court tomorrow, you guys. Yay. That means we will not be watching Arca or Tolly tomorrow, and maybe we might do a stream on Friday. But I just need to see. I need to wait till Wednesday to decide that. I don't know. I guess we're just gonna have to play every day by year. So that's super great. Super great. Yeah. Okay. I'm excited about a full day tomorrow. I mean, it was only going to be like a half day for me, but with the way this is going, I'm glad we don't have to wait till Wednesday. So yeah, yes. Oh yes, because we'll have the lovely Amos gets to be with us finally. Normally she's at work during the day, but she is on a vacay right now. So she's going to join us for court this week, which is lovely. And she's probably not going to say the C word on live YouTube air. I'm never going to let you live that down ever. Right. Yep. She'll change it again and there'll be court Thursday and Friday. Who knows? So we tried to plan. See, somebody, I forget who it was the other week, was like, oh, what are you going to do next? And I was like, that's the thing with court. You just don't ever know. It changes like that. You can't plan very much in advance because we spent the whole weekend being like, okay, what's our best course of action for the show next week? I just need to know if Thursday is still a half day, really. So if it does end up being a full day, then maybe Raindrops and Feathers and I might just bump the interview up by like an hour or something like that. It'll still be there. You can't go past 4 without an anxiety attack. Oh, yes. Right? Just changing everything up on us. That's okay. We still have plenty of time to watch. So I looked at the list for the last trial, and Dr. Russell only testified for 48 minutes. That was it. 48 minutes. And today she is testifying a lot longer than that. Because I was like, oh, maybe we could, watch her. It's only 48 minutes long. It's wild to me. Her voir dire was over an hour. So I don't know. I don't know. I know what that's about. Oh, goodness. Oh, court is done for the day. RTC court is done for today. It is 4:00. And they try to be done. But good news is there's going to be a full court today tomorrow. So yay for us. That makes me very excited. Because today was something. I mean, whoa. It was a day. Chat, when I'm going through these comments, who do you guys think won the day? Do you think defense won the day, prosecution, or you could be like morning, PM? What are your thoughts on who you guys think had a good day today? Oh, that's true. That's true. The last time you were on vacation, they canceled court for the whole day. But we did rewatch trial that day. Yes, he is still in the middle of crossing Dr. Russell, and it's not going well for him, in my opinion. And not so great. Not so great. I mean, he just didn't have any good things to get her on. Like they were kind of stupid questions. And like, here's the thing, right? He has to do his job, and I get that. But you also don't have to ask stupid questions. You don't even have to ask that many questions at all, actually. Oh, I had a good thought earlier, and I was like, no, I'll save it for the end to talk about. Um, oh, I like how he likes to attack her experience, right? Her experience, her theories, and all of that. When it's like, sir, you are defending law enforcement who doesn't even know how to do a proper investigation, apparently. These wounds were not swabbed. You keep defending people in your case, Brennan, who don't know how to do their jobs, aren't qualified to do their jobs, who are dodgy, real dodgy with questions, like Miss Kelly Devers, who I am sure the internet is eating her alive right now. Well, like, sir, get over it. Dever did not have a good day. Amos says, oh yeah, I forgot we're doing this. Amos says, I think Dr. Russell wins the day. She is doing a very good job on the stand and like controlling herself a little bit. She's doing a good job up against Brennan. Angie says halvesies 50-50 on who wins the day. Same with Buffy. She thinks it's 50-50. We all know that Kelly Dever did not have a good day. There's no way she's having a good day. Snowplow guy tomorrow? Maybe. It was rumored he was supposed to be here today, but apparently they went with Dr. Russell. So hold on just a second. Sorry, I had to yell at Elbow Feet to let the dogs in. Let's see. There he is. Okay. Yeah, Nikki thanks Dr. Russell with the win for the defense. Yes. Yes, Zoe, calm down. Oh my gosh, she's so nice outside, and she actually dying out there. Like, oh. Anyway, leading Grace says, I think the morning was not great for the defense, but this afternoon with Brennan has hurt the Commonwealth. He's being a flunker without needing to be one. Yeah, I think defense did have a rough morning today. It shouldn't have been as rough, but I didn't know Kelly Devers was going to be herself today, and whatever that was. How embarrassing for her. Let's see. Yeah, Brennan is questioning her like she didn't use his version of the right recipe for apple pie. I know, right? Like, what? Why? Why are you doing this? This sweet lady. Buffy says Peter Tragos, aka lawyer, said that Kelly Dever was a disaster for the defense. I mean, she accused the defense of threatening her with charging her with perjury. I mean, I do think Devers is going to be either see right through her BS, or she like confirms a bias that one may have about defense attorneys. So I don't think she made anybody look good. I don't think it was great. Wasn't great. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm sure they're gonna have like all sorts of stuff to say today. Oh boy, what a day indeed, you guys. Oh, tomorrow's gonna be great too. So I guess we're doing a full day tomorrow. Okay, good to know. By the way, they have not. Oh, what is Bev? Are you moving, Bev? She's not sitting down and gathering her things. I think court is over. They have not brought the volume back on. So, oh yeah, she's picking her stuff up and going. Okay, bye guys. All right. I was saying bye to them, not you guys quite yet. Okay. All right. Where are we at here? Over here. Savage Kashi says, funny thing about that, they generally don't bring up perjury unless you're lying. Agreed. Agreed. And it is very hard to, oh my gosh, my hair is out of control with this green screen. It is very hard to charge somebody with perjury. I know you may see it with your own eyes and be like, oh, they got it. But no, it has to be like, she even used the phrase today on stand. What did she say? It was basically she didn't have any ill intent by getting it wrong. I forget the word. What is going on outside my house? Oh my gosh. Jim says Officer Devers did the Commonwealth harm. She was obviously hostile. The jury, I'll bet, was not impressed with the demeanor of her testimony. I do imagine at least some of the juror members are just like, whoa, what is happening here? Why are you, being like this? Because see, look at how Dr. Russell is behaving with Brennan, okay? She's not being rude and cagey and losing her shit like Kelly did this morning. Kelly with a Y, not our lovely Kelly with an IE. And that's the thing. Like, your composure when you're on there says a lot about you. I just think she's hiding something. That's what I think. Breezy says it seems like Hank is having a deposition with all of the witnesses that he thinks he's allowed to. Voir dire, or is it really witness intimidation? I mean, it's crazy to me that she had to go through that long before voir dire. And did Burgess not? Like, how did we do this? I don't know. I don't know how we got here, but it's crazy. Malicious intent. Thank you. I am awake by now, but sometimes I need some assist. All right. No, thank you all for being here today. It was, it looks like Alexis is biting your hair. Space Lexus. Well, yeah, I want to thank all of you guys for being here today. What a day indeed. I cannot wait until tomorrow. I am very excited to see what happens next, who else they're calling. I'm glad to see that we're not going to be missing court so much this week, because I was like, in the middle of the defense's case, this might be bad for the jury and, keeping that all together. So I'm glad that none of you guys went back outside. No, absolutely not. Like that, they just went outside. Anyway, so tonight I'm going to be recording the Sean Diddy Combs trial updates for today, and those will be out later tonight. If you haven't watched that, go to our Diddy playlist. It is something, you guys. It is something. It is crazy. And then we'll be back tomorrow for court. So I hope you all have a great rest of the evening. Get pumped up. We'll be here tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time for day 26 of the Karen Reid trial. And I promise to wake up early and not just come in all like, what am I doing here? Where am I? I'll try and do my best. Okay. All right. You guys have a great rest of the afternoon, and I'll see you all tomorrow, and go forth and be amazing. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.